Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. If this is your first time checking out a video, please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. We're watching a clip of The Herd with Colin Cowherd, and we're talking about should the Giants stick with Daniel Jones. When I saw this title, I was pretty stunned because Colin has been just railing on Daniel Jones and the Giants, and now apparently he's coming out saying that they should stick with Daniel Jones. So there's not much to say, honestly, before I have to hear what he has to say. So let's take a listen to see what he has to say, and then we'll kind of break it down from there.
The New York Giants appear to be wanting to get it right. Instead of continuing to double down on a bad draft pick, Daniel Jones at number 6 was a huge reach. I said it then, I believe it now. John Mara, the owner, came out in the last 2 days and said, if our GM and our coach fall in love with a quarterback, they can take him at number 6. This isn't anti-Daniel Jones. This isn't an agenda. He's had 59 career starts. There's not a single piece of data, not one. I feel the same way about Justin Fields. Find me the data. Oh, this guy's special. His passer rating, not good. Touchdown to interceptions, 62 to 40's awful. Doesn't win, hurt a lot. He's a terrible fourth quarter quarterback. His passer rating plummets when it matters most. He's just not good. He loses too many fumbles. He's hurt all the time.
That was not his fault either.
He doesn't see the field well. It's
Why are they showing highlights that were not his fault?
Now, Justin is more spectacular, and that can fool people.
Okay, that was his fault.
But the New York Giants need to draft a quarterback. Outside of Carolina, they sit at 6. Move up to 4 in Arizona, move up a spot. You don't have to move up far, or you could stay there. But stop trying to double down and convince everybody this is a special player. There's not a single piece of data after 59 starts which would lead you there. Not one. Lamar Jackson started in week 11 of his rookie year. In about 3 starts in, you were like, whoa, that doesn't look like anybody else. Patrick Mahomes started 1 game his rookie season, end of the year. Everybody went, oh, he looks pretty good. Justin Herbert's first start for the Chargers, coincidentally against Mahomes, first start, you're like, oh, he's not overwhelmed at all. Daniel Jones looks overwhelmed 3 out of 4 Sundays. He's got 59 starts. Again, Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, show me the data. I'm willing to listen. There's no data. You don't win, you're hurt, you lose fumbles, you're bad in the fourth. I got to see something. And so, outside of Carolina, which is maybe the least talented professional football team I have seen in a decade. Take Carolina off the board. There's only 2 other teams in this league that feel as hopeless. The Patriots, even their coach yesterday said, please be patient with us, and the New York Giants. Stop doubling down, guys. It's okay to be wrong. The best hitters in baseball hit 301. They strike out all the time. It's okay. It's not about being right. The drafting quarterbacks is virtually, Kyle Shanahan can't get it right all the time. Am I missing something? Because
that's not his fault. I know it's not going to look perfect pass, but
Jim Harbaugh 10 years at Michigan to finally get a great quarterback collegiately, J.J. McCarthy. He missed on all sorts of quarterbacks. Jim Harbaugh. In fact, the best quarterback he's ever had was at Stanford. He was better than Colin Kaepernick in the NFL. He's had 1 great quarterback in his life, Andrew Luck, and Jim Harbaugh was an NFL quarterback. It's a very difficult position to draft. There is no data here that says it works. None. You got to move on. So I think what Mara is saying is if my coaches fall in love with them, is basically draft a quarterback. And this is another thing in the NFL, is that every ownership group is different. Some can be really frugal, Cincinnati and historically the Chargers before the last couple years. Some, Stan Kroenke, a lot of money, stay out of the way, ideal. Some, Jerry Jones, want to be the de facto general manager. Ego, vanity, it's my team. Everybody's different here. The Giants, to me, always felt like they let the football guys. It could be the late George Young, the great general manager. It could be Jerry Reese. It could be Parcells. They kind of let the football guys do what the football guys do. And all of a sudden, they got kind of weird, and they're all into Daniel Jones. And it's like the coaches aren't, the GM's not. They're not. Come on. These people know football. So I think the Giants, to me, have felt, and this, I didn't feel this my entire life, they feel kind of dysfunctional. With the owner meddling, getting into situations that don't work. It's time. Get it right. Don't double down on being right. He never worked as a number 6 pick. Nothing worked. Interesting stuff. So
yeah. This is something that I see that they do in football all the time. And it's shocking to me. Pretty shocking to me. Whether it's the quarterback position, running back position, wide receiver, whatever it may be, they do it a little bit in other sports like maybe baseball, basketball, but nowhere near at the level that I see in football, where a player is either not that good or, uneven or, average or whatever. And then he plays a really great season or a very solid, good, season that's, people are like, okay, this is good. This is a player that we want. And then they pay them. They think, okay, we cracked the code. We cracked the Daniel Jones code, the Jordan Poole code, I can't think of other players, honestly, right now. We did it. This is who this player was like this. And now he had the season where he was like pretty much like this. That is who he is now, right? This is who he is. And it almost is like never like that. And that's essentially what happened with Daniel Jones. We knew he was kind of like, he's not the worst quarterback in the world, but he's not the best quarterback either. And then Dable came in and they had a great season and they went to the playoffs and he played well and had a big playoff game, beating the Minnesota Vikings, if memory serves me correctly. And then, they got walloped by the Eagles. But the Eagles were so good that year, I don't think anyone really held anything against them. But, and they were like, okay, this is who Daniel Jones is now. And then the team collapsed again. And although Daniel Jones did get injured this past season, which then makes it a little bit more easier to kind of pile up on him. But I just don't get the move in the first place with the Giants. One of the scariest things you can do in football is sign an average player long term and pay him like decent money. It doesn't have to necessarily be this like Dak Prescott 60 mil, but just a legitimate chunk of change. Someone who you just know you can't 100% rely on. You need to have a quarterback that you can truly 100% rely on. And there's two different ways to be able to rely on a quarterback, right? You can rely on a Patrick Mahomes or a Joe Burrow or a Josh Allen to win you some games, okay? Right? You're down by 3 minutes to go. And again, it doesn't mean you're going to succeed every time, but Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, that like they can put your team consistently in a position to win. That if Josh Allen needs to steamroll a bunch of defensive players and barrel through them, he can do it. Patrick Mahomes can throw, that perfect pass. Joe Burrow can throw the ball 900 yards. That those players can do that. So you're never out of a game, right? And that alone now is very trustworthy. And you also can trust players. And this isn't always the same thing. Those things don't always go together, but the elites, they do, like the players I just named, is that that they're not going to necessarily lose you games. They're not going to really be the true reason. Yes, can they have games where they throw a couple interceptions and, you could theoretically point at them for saying like, well, listen, if they didn't do this, they would have won. Technically, but for the most part, that's not, in their DNA. Patrick Mahomes isn't costing, the Chiefs games. So, but when you pay a quarterback that's not that great, you have to figure out, well, where can you trust him? Can you trust him to be able to win you games? Where now if he costs you games, yes, it's not ideal, but at least he can win you games. So that there's still that chance, right? Or is it the other way around where you say, okay, I know I can't trust this quarterback to go out and get me some wins. He can't put this team on his back, but I do trust him week to week that he's not going to drop the ball, right? That he's not going to just be a disaster, right? Those not going to be a disasters are like the Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy. Whether you think Brock Purdy is going to end up being this amazing quarterback doesn't even matter. As of right now, what makes Brock Purdy really good and solid, maybe even dare I say great, is that he doesn't just collapse and just drop the ball, right? He makes the right decision majority of the times. And so you can trust Brock Purdy. You know Brock Purdy's not a spaz. And I would even say even like a player like a Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott kind of has both factors where he can win you a game and then you can also trust him. But he's inconsistent in both of those, factors. So that kind of makes him just an overall inconsistent quarterback. You don't know, is he going to drop the ball in the playoffs? Can he win you a game? Like, I believe he can, because I believe he's good enough, but you can't necessarily trust or bank on that being the case. And with Daniel Jones, I'm not so sure what you're getting. And so if you're going to have that as your quarterback, there's just, what can you have what is the redeemable factor there? What are you hoping to achieve with a quarterback that you can't trust on either side with that regard? Because you can make the argument for these other quarterbacks of like, well, listen, at least he doesn't just completely drop the ball. Well, listen, when some of these games are getting tough, we do know that he's capable of going out there and winning us a game. And, teams need that. You can say that about some of these other players. A Derek Carr, for instance, right? Derek Carr has a ton of fourth quarter comebacks. And so whether you want to say he's the greatest quarterback ever, which I'm sure no one watching this wants to say that, he can go out and win you some games. He can get in a shootout and duel and, and be like, all right, let's go. But obviously not perfect, not amazing, and not necessarily someone that you want to pay $300 million for the next 5 years. And so that's where you're at as a franchise with Daniel Jones. It's just like, if you don't have this, then why keep moving forward? It only harms you, and it only delays the inevitable. Do the test, close your eyes. Do you see Daniel Jones balling out in the playoffs and winning an NFC championship game or a Super Bowl? If the answer is no, then move on. Draft another quarterback. If you could trust the Giants to really draft well or to build a really great team, and you want to take the approach of, say, the 49ers, but I said this yesterday, I think it was, and I use this example all the time too, right, where you can have an average, quarterback, but if you have a great coach and an elite team around him, you can win, right? That's been proven, especially if you're not paying your quarterback a lot of money. But we act like that's so easy to do. The 49ers had to get really lucky with their quarterback situation. They hit on key draft picks, which isn't necessarily luck, but some of it is luck. It's not all 100% skill. There's some skill involved, of course, but you don't always know. And then, they were able to make a couple key acquisitions. But you can't just go out and say, okay, well, we're just going to build a team like the 49ers and not pay our quarterback that much, and we're going to be great. Like, if it was that easy, then it would be that easy. And it's not. You really got to nail the drafts. You got to nail the DC and the OCs, the head coach. And, and you got to be able to then make a couple key acquisitions and have the money to be able to do that, to pick up the Christian McCaffrey, and to be able to sign Debo when he is eligible for the contract and things of that nature. And even then, you have a tight window. The 49ers got lucky because they were able to move on to Brock Purdy, and already have this complete solid team. And so the timing kind of matched up, although that's running low now. They have maybe like this year is probably their final year before next year when, the bill's going to be due. So this idea that you can just kind of win with average quarterbacks by drafting or by building a really great elite team around him, I think can sometimes be over exaggerated, or it's a lot easier said than done. And really at the end of the day, it's probably easier to go out and just keep drafting quarterbacks and find one that hits. I mean, it sucks and it can take longer, but again, if it was that easy to draft a team like the 49ers, then all the teams would be doing it, and they're obviously not. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you think the Giants should do with Daniel Jones, do you think they should just let him play and build a team around him and give him a fighting chance, or is it time to move on? Let me know in the comments below whether you agree with me or disagree with me. I read every single comment, so let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please, if you made it this far, give this video a thumbs up. It really, really, really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. And if you're watching it this deep into this video, that means you enjoy the content, or you're a longtime subscriber, or whatever. And it really, really does help. And I would be greatly appreciative. Thank you so much, and see you next time.